humanity. Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platforms with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our news site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Good afternoon. I am Robert Press. You'll notice my tag says veteran political reporter. And here is my New York City Police ID for my press card. I like our new ad in the beginning. And I'm going to turn it over right now to my co-host, Anthony RIVIECCIO, who will say a little bit more, Anthony, about our advertising.
Oh, good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO. I don't have a card, although I can show you my ID card, but I'm wearing my professor's pin today because I have a meeting later this afternoon. In regards to advertising, ladies and gentlemen, please come advertise with the New York Parrot. Feel free to reach out to me specifically, 347-575-5045. We are having advertising, sponsored posting on all of our New York Parrot channels, both our newspaper as well as our television platform, including on this show. So I know later on today we have a wonderful guest by the name of John Perez that I hope that for his Senate race in the upcoming weeks, he'll give us a call, talk about sponsored advertising.
And as Anthony said, our guest today is State Senate candidate for the 34th District, Mr. John Perez. He will be on later. Once we come back from commercial, we'll have an interview with him. We've had
hopefully Bob, between now and then, he'll be writing an advertising check. And you have to get a New York Parrot ID card.
Anthony, Mr. Perez is a candidate in the 34th Senate District. Like I said, we've had Lisa Hofflick on the show, who dropped out of the race, unfortunately. And we've had Mr. Christian Amato, who is a candidate in the race. And we extend an open welcome to Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez, who is the third candidate in that race. It is very credible that the Assemblywoman lets the people know what she has done in the 3 years in the Assembly. And one of the big issues right now in her district is the Jacoby Hospital. All right, the plans to put Rikers inmates on site on the hospital.
Well, Bob, before you go there in detail, and I totally agree with you, but before you go there in detail, let's also remember at our new Northwest Bronx Democrat segment, where I'll get into it more detail, she believes one of the top priorities in her area is not Jacoby Hospital. She believes one of her top priorities in her area is lowering national inflation, which we'll talk about later, but I just wanted to.
Okay, well, while you mentioned inflation, I forgot we have our normal Bidenomics segment where we go into right now. So let me turn it over to Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bidenomics. let me be the first to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been an economist for 31 years. I graduated from college with both my BA and my MA in economics 35 years ago. And I will now tell you, nothing is correct. Nothing is correct. Join me at 5 p.m. for Financial Focus University. But just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, in the last 24 hours, Apple, okay, the stock earnings came out. Their profit went down. In the last 24 hours, Amazon came out. Their earnings came out. Their earnings went down. How are the stocks doing this morning as we speak? On average, they're up 8%.
They've been up for the past 2 days, Anthony. What's going on?
Well, remember I said last week, I don't know if I said it on this show, but I definitely know I said it on the other show. Our markets move based on 50% truth, 50% hype. And what has happened, especially just using Apple and Amazon as an example, is that they said, hey guys, we had a bad quarter. We had a bad 2 quarters. But we believe in the future, we're going to be better, right? So you get the truth, and then you get the hype. And we'll talk more about which one is winning at Financial Focus University. Well, let me share 2 more numbers with you, Bob, because this, I think, really it spells it all. This morning, we had some consumer-related numbers come out. This morning, we found out that on a monthly basis, income, personal income, is up 0.6% for the month. So forwardly, that would be about a solid 7.2% annual rate. Now, that's a good income rate. Don't get me wrong. But at the same token, consumer spending is also up 1.1%, right? So if you average that out, that comes out roughly to about close to 13%. Why is income, right? So now why is income this and spending that? Well, credit card numbers came out this morning, and it shows that that 2/3 of our discretionary spending, so in layman's terms, was up to 30% of your overall income. It's not real income anymore. It's credit card spending.
Anthony, Mayor Adams came out with a statement that we're going into a depression. Is that true?
Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, again, Financial Focus University. Robert, when I was in economics school, it was taught to me, and I would believe to thousands of people before me and thousands of people after me, that when you are in an economy that has 2 consecutive quarters of declining growth, it can be generally characterized as a recession. Now, let me be very clear about something. It could be a mild recession. It could be a serious recession. But one thing it definitely is not is growth, right? So to answer your question, I think it's safe to say that we are in a mild recession.
Okay, well, let's get into some local news. The big issue in the 34th State Senate District, which is where it lies, Jacoby Hospital, which is also the 80th Assembly District, is the problem of the proposal of the Health and Hospitals Corporation with the Fortune Society that says revenues down, profits up, from Kevin.
Just to correct Kevin, I suggest Kevin to go check the financial statements where he'll get himself updated.
And that it's a just home proposal to house medically sick inmates or former inmates from Rikers Island at Jacoby Hospital in studio apartments of about 400 square feet. The Just Home proposal says that these are people who are end-stage renal disease, heart failure, stage 4 cancer, and maybe geriatric or non-ambulatory. and they may require oxygen tanks and wheelchairs. Okay. Now, Miss Ann, I forgot her last name, from the Fortune Society, Page, I think is her last name, came out with a statement in one of the local papers, the Bronx Times, that the 400 people that were at Maestro's is not representative of the community. All right. Now, what community could she be looking at? Is she looking at the community where you live in the 80th Assembly District? Or I should say used to live? Is she looking at Frog's Neck? Is she looking at Co-op City or Riverdale or even the South?
I don't know where she was looking at when she made that statement, but I know where she's looking at this morning. This morning, she's looking at her Long Island Center, because as reported by the New York Post and the Facebook page of Northwest Bronx Democrats, it was reported yesterday that the provider, the Fortune Society, that has outlets in the city, including Long Island, had a sad 1 p.m., let me repeat that, 1 p.m. incident that I understand might have included some gunplay. And this gunplay had to do with their residency. Who's their residency? Ex-cons. And just to, sort of mention something you said a moment ago as well, that, the proposal has been morphed in recent days. I'm sure you'll bring that up. On our page, we call it Rikers Light. I know they call it just home. But according to the new proposal, it sounds like it's going to be more Rikers inmates that I'm sure will feel just like home. But as you and I spoke off air yesterday, well, if the majority of people are coming from Rikers, then that means, in my humble opinion, the majority of people are going to be very young. Because that's
I was just going to ask you.
You don't have that many 60, 70, 80-year-olds there.
No, I mean, Rikers is a jail, which is basically a holding area. We saw with, and I'm going to use Khalif Browder. He was 17 years old in Rikers. He was there for 3 years. Okay, so this is probably what we have. Gang members and anyone who's hurt or has an injury probably got it. They were shot, they were stabbed, or whatever. So, and it led to this, cancer or whatever. I know, I would not want a gang member or gang members there, because what's going to happen? They want their friends to come visit them. All right, what are we going to have? The gangs all hanging around Jacoby now?
If you read the article, and I know it just came out this morning, to my understanding, the incident happened right in front of their facility.
Was it, and it involved their people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I don't know what the fight was about. I understand it had to do with some personal, issues, and of course I'm not going to go there. But at the end of the day, at 1 p.m., a satisfied exchange right in front of their facility.
Well, the problem also is, Anthony, the community hasn't gotten the information it needs. All right. They're saying it's 1900 Seminole Avenue. We're not going to go break through the wall. There's going to be no opening. They'll go through Jacoby's property. So if it's on Jacoby's property and they're going to go through Jacoby, why not call it 1400 Pelham Parkway, which is Jacoby's address, instead of 1900?
I believe, Bob, I believe, and I could be wrong, but in the recent morphing, I've seen documents that has indicated it as Pelham Parkway.
Because we remember the problem with the Botanical Gardens area, where it was Theodore Kasimov Drive and Southern Boulevard. And when packages came, what happened? That's why they put it back to Southern Boulevard. Mm-hmm. All right. So, but I mean,
that's a good comparison, but okay.
Well, also, Anthony, I want to mention something that I foiled Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez. Okay, and I'm going to just quickly read it. Under the Freedom of Information Law, I request the following items from you and your office: to view or copy any all written conversations by paper, email, or text. All right, because I can't get phone conversations that you or your office had with anyone from the Fortune Society from the date November 1, 2021, which is the date Mark Jonai said he knew about it in November, to the former which I say became aware of the Jacoby proposal to have inmates from Rikers Island at Jacoby, to the present July 25th, I have which was the date that I handed in. I also asked for any written conversation, paper, emails, or text from the Health and Hospitals Corporation, from Jacoby Hospital, and from former Councilman Mark Jonai. The reason is I want to know exactly when our Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez, who the day after or the day of, I don't know, took a tour of Jacoby Hospital with one of the people from the Fortune Society and made sure that that News 12 was there to have it on photos. So it was a nice photo op for her. I'm walking around the hospital. This is the guy from the Fortune Society. Oh, it's going to be a great thing. So when did she know about this? That's what I want to know. And who told her?
Robert, question. This video you're referring to, was it 2021?
It was 22. It was a week or two ago. That's all.
So then, I guess my question would be: it's good they invited Natalia, but how come the councilwoman wasn't there? Because at the end of the day, it's the councilwoman that's going to have a great deal of influence in the vote. So
exactly,
the councilwoman wasn't there.
Exactly. Okay, and we know because of the no cash bail law signed by the Assembly members and state Senate members that there aren't going to be any easy criminals that are coming into this program. They're all going to be hardened criminals, okay, because that's the only thing now that are going, only people that are going now to jail. People who have committed deep crimes with guns, who assaulted people. So we're not going to get any Khalif Browders who might be there for years because he took a book bag. We're going to get hardened criminals, rapists, murderers, child molesters. That's what we're going to have in this system. All right, unless the Health and Hospitals Corporation can say otherwise. And the other question is, if Rikers Island can handle these people right now, how come the borough jails can't handle them that are being built? They're building them right now, so why not build in this capacity to have these people? All right, I can't understand this. But let's move on, Anthony.
All we know so far is that somebody's making a fortune.
Well, I'll tell you this, that Mitchell Katz, the head of HHC, makes over $600,000, and the next 100 people make over $300,000. That's according to the 2019 statistics that were given out by the city. All right.
Does that include or not include the side court consultant fees for these recommendations to be on this wonderful list?
Well, no, but the head of
so that would be extra, right? That would be like consultant fees or something like that.
The head of Jacoby, Christopher Mastromanno, makes $363,000. That was in 2019. I'm sure he's making close to $400,000 or over $400,000 now. But let's get to politics.
With that much money and being in charge of the hospital, just out of curiosity, because I know you're the expert on this, do you think he makes any political contributions to his local people?
Well, I saw that he gave a $300 contribution to Assemblywoman Natalia Fernandez in 2021, because as I'm looking up and I'm watching Senator Biaggi. She's running for Congress. She announced in February, but she's spending state money up until July for I don't know what, on consultants, on other things. And as a matter of fact, the State Board of Elections says needs more explanation as far as what she wrote, what it's for. So, if I was Sean Patrick Mahoney, I would look into Biaggi's finances, of state disclosure statements and federal disclosure statements, because it seems that she's paying people for the congressional race and as a consultant for her Senate seat, which she's not running anymore. As of February, 2000, whenever she announced, she should not be spending Senate money. It should all be congressional money because she's running for Congress now. But let's talk about two other races. We have the 33rd State Senate District, which had a debate between Gustavo Rivera and Miguel Camilo, which looked like about a 50-50, all right, on who won there. Gustavo was ahead a little and basically kind of blew it at the end when he said, well, how long have you lived in Riverdale? And she said, I've been here 7 years. So, Anthony, any comment about the 33rd debate?
I have several, And let me apologize because I'm actually looking at my notes, which of course I wrote the night of the debate, so I look at them now and I can't read them, right? But I do remember vaguely parts of the debate. I thought it was a relatively good debate. I think Schweppes Media as a company, like us as a company, you know, are trying hard to deliver good information. And I think seeing Jane Hansen, that is, you know, some of the old timers like me, you know Jane Hansen being in the political ways for quite a while. Also, the other moderator, Stephen Witt, he's also been in the political circles for a little while, but I guess I think of him like strawberry ice cream. I like chocolate, I like vanilla, I do not like strawberry. So, you know, he's not a turn on for me. The debate itself, you know, Bob, I beg to differ a little bit with you. I was very impressed with Miss Camilio for one reason and one reason only, because you would think on paper it should have been a slaughter. You know, on paper it should have been a slaughter. She was very well prepared, where I'm not sure if Gustavo was fully well prepared.
No, I don't think so either.
You know, sometimes. And I guess I'll give our guests a little hint of one of my questions. I want to ask three, but I'll give them a little hint now of one of my questions. You know, I believe Gustavo said in one of his debates, I'm looking at my notes now, that when they were talking about when they were talking about community change, you know, he says, "Oh, you know, I've lived in this area for so many years." Okay, well, you know, considering that neck of the woods has been very dangerous the last 10 years, that doesn't give me a lot of hope to hear something like that. You know, oh, I've been here 20 years. Okay, but if it's worse today than 20 years ago, you're not spoofing any good stuff. So I was very concerned about him trying to take his, what he calls his experience, and translate it into, you know, reality. Miss Camilio being a first-time candidate, I thought was very
right. She held the ground.
Thank you. I was trying to find the word. I thought Gustavo really left a lot of loose ends. Yes, he is I'm going to call him the semi-incumbent. Camilio, according to her, does have a wide series of endorsements. According to the debate, Gustavo is gathering his, but does not have as much, of course, as Camilio. I'm not a big fan of endorsements, as you know. I'm a big fan of on the ground. But I will say, seeing both of them on the ground, I think Mr. Rivera has to get all the troops out, because to Miss Camilio's benefit, she seems to have in different parts of the district her pieces. Now, don't get me wrong, her pieces have to come out in full force. I think most of them will. Not all of them, but I think most of them will.
And hopefully Senator Rivera and his challenger, Miguel Camilo, will come on the show to be interviewed.
And Bob, I forgot to mention that to you. Thank you. I believe, no promises, that as a follow-up to you know, her debate, I reached out to her. She was very gracious with our conversation. She's, I believe, as a matter of fact, I'll tell all of the future candidates, Miss Camilio, as we speak, is now advertising on the New York Parrot. So if you go to the website, for all I know, we could have a commercial coming up now with her. But I do know she is advertising. So again, guys, Mr. and Mrs. Candidate, feel free to call in. But you know, she's doing what has to be done.
Okay,
granted, she has Anthony, a lot of help, but
let's go to our commercial right now, because we're at the 25-minute mark. We want to leave time for our guest, Mr. John Perez of the 34th Senate District. So let's have our commercial now, please.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platform with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the website they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Okay, welcome back. And I see we have our guest for today, State Senate 34th State Senate District candidate, John Perez. So let's go right to Mr. Perez. And John, would you please introduce yourself?
How you doing? Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is John Perez. I'm running for the 34th State Senate District, and I hope that you come out and vote on that day. Why should
voters vote for you rather than one of your two opponents?
Well, let me begin by telling you that I've been in the political game. I've been in the public service game for a very long time. Besides that, I'm a 18-year combat veteran with honorable and distinguished service, which is very important when in public service. You want to be able to demonstrate to the people that you have the ability to carry on the mission and meet the expectations of the people. And I have done that for many, many years. I'm also a single dad. I'm raising a 13-year-old daughter. Bob, you know her very well. She's an amazing child. But prior to that, I also worked with the city council for 2 years in the South Bronx. And I'm also the co-founder of We Stay Nos Quedamos, which was the biggest urban development in the South Bronx about 25 years ago.
Yeah, John, can you just lower your camera a little so we can see you better?
I'm not going to be able to do it.
There we go. That's good enough. Okay. Let me just say, what legislation would you plan to be introduced if you were elected?
My legislation. You've been reading my material, huh? I have a piece of legislation that I've been working on for quite some time, putting it together. I don't have lobbyists. I don't have attorneys that work with me, just like every other person that's elected. I actually do the work myself. And the one thing that I came up with, and is something that is really connected to the military, is something that we do all the time. Anything that we do has to have a risk assessment attached to it. If any law is to be passed in the state Senate, I would like to see a risk assessment associated with it. We want to be able to justify or anticipate any shortcomings, any issues, any problems, and being able to address those at the time that it happens. Just like I was watching the show earlier, and Anthony RIVIECCIO was talking about the incident that happened up in Staten Island. Surely, if a risk assessment would have been conducted, they would have been able to anticipate something like that happening. So introducing a bill like that, I don't think it's going to be very easy to pass, but I think that is a crucial component to our state legislature to take into consideration the public safety before any law that's going to profit any one organization.
Anthony, do you have any questions for candidate Perez?
I do. Good morning, John.
How you doing, Anthony?
Not bad, sir. I got 3 questions. I'm going to give them to you one at a time, so not all 3 in one shot, okay?
You realize I hate these things, these Zoom things.
Well, I want to congratulate you. Firstly, I was clapping a minute ago because both as a former combat veteran myself, but also as a 31-year financial planner, I make many decisions using partially risk assessment as part of the overall answer. So just hearing that, again, very good, very good.
Thank you, thank you.
First question.
We're a unique bunch, right? We're trained to do something the right way, and in doing so, we have to incorporate risk assessments in everything that we do. Even there's a risk assessment in the office. Some people put, be careful with paper clips, paper cuts, but still a risk assessment is a risk assessment. And that's a gauge for us to anticipate any shortcomings, any shortfalls, any choke points, any possible problem that can occur because of this one specific thing or many things. A risk assessment should be associated with it.
Let me ask you my first question, and I should let you know that I was very impressed with the debate that you participated in recently in regards to the district. My first question, though, has to do with a question that you asked Christian Amato, one of the candidates. It has to do with comments that I understand took place in 2019. I understand that according to the debate, there were at that time photos circulating where Mr. Amato had signs that said cops were bastards, that there were signs that said defund the police. And it's funny that on the east side of the Bronx, that is a little bit different than the rest of the Bronx. That again was 2019. I'm only emphasizing that to say this is when tensions started to rise before COVID. Right now with COVID, they're obviously even higher. As you could see when Bob mentioned about the rally that's taking place in the neighborhood in regard to the Jacoby situation, people are becoming very excited. My question to you is this: what can you do to calm the community down with these racial concerns, or have you, since 2019, done anything in your community to calm down racial concerns?
I have done a lot before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic, and I will continue to do that. I live in a neighborhood that's not so great. You have red bandanas tied to certain light poles indicating certain jurisdictions to certain individuals, but they know who I am. They know exactly who I am. I stand firm. I said, you guys are going to do whatever you guys are going to do. I'm not going to be able to stop you, but just understand that I'm walking here. And it's very difficult, to address such an issue that was allowed to grow the way that it did is going to take more time to try to unravel. It's not going to be 1 day, 2 days, a year, 2 years. This is going to take a really, really, really big concentration in doing so. Now, we may not be able to save those that are entrenched in that lifestyle, but through my program and my proposal, I hope to try to change the mindset of these individuals that have that type of mindset by providing job training, by providing trade schools. That's something that we're lacking in. My biggest thing, and Anthony, is the military high school academy. I want it, and I want it really, really, really bad. That's not for everybody, but maybe the trade school is for some people. You learn a trade. You know, there's a big difference between a kid that learned brick and mortar and got a job in a development that built a whole entire building. And every time that person passes by that building, he passes by it with admiration that he had something to do with it. And then he sees a young kid painting, spray painting on that wall, and he has no shame. He's going to say, hey, buddy, you know that I put that brick on that wall? It's going to take a different type of mindset to address these people, you know, but we have to restore pride. We have to restore some kind of honor and dignity into our people. You know, we constantly tell them, you know, politicians constantly tell them that they're poor, that they can't afford this, that their schools are falling apart, and we're here to help. But at the same time, they're telling them, you're poor, you need me. And that's not the case. You know, like I said, I'm raising my daughter now, and I would never tell her that she is nothing less than the very best. And I will help her get to wherever she has to get to, no matter what. And I would not talk her down. And these kids shouldn't be talked down either. We should be encouraging them.
Your second question, Anthony.
My second question, I'll try to keep it short.
Well, no feedback on that?
Huh?
John, we want to get the questions in.
No, we want to. No, unfortunately, our segment is only 20 minutes. We'd love to have you on longer. But my second question is this. I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more, but I need to bring it to your attention because it actually relates to the area you want to represent. Assemblywoman Fernandez recently put out in Albany literature that she believes she's solving inflation. And she even put in the literature some examples of what she meant. She put down that she was going to authorize spending more money on the earned income credit. She also said she was authorizing billions of dollars to go to the child tax credit. She also authorized money to go to what she calls property tax rebate. And according to her literature, she believes these three things will solve her district's inflation. Now, my own opinion, which I'll talk more about on the next segment, but my own opinion is I don't think spending, because that's really what it is, right, solves inflation. My own opinion is that it makes it worse. But as a state Senate candidate, do you believe, A, that those are the right answers to district inflation? B, do you have any solutions? Or even C, is it a local problem, a state problem, or a national problem?
Yeah. I mean, I can answer this in a statement alone, but you probably want me to elaborate a little bit more. But this is just like taking from Peter and giving to Paul. You're taking from one area and you're putting in the other. It's shifting funds. That's all it is. It's shifting funds to accommodate the needs, the immediate needs, or the needs of the people for that particular moment. It's not going to be everlasting.
Yeah, but let me dig into that a little. Yeah, but John, let me dig into that a little bit. The needs are important. So I'm not downplaying the importance. I'm looking at it more from a policy standpoint. Ms. Fernandez believes that more spending will lower inflation. Do you believe that?
No, any economist, any third grader that's adding numbers, is learning how to add numbers, knows that spending doesn't equal lowering inflation. We already know that inflation is going up. You got groceries up 30%. You got lumber that's up 40%. You have, gas prices are astronomical. These are the essential things that we need to survive on a day-to-day basis, right? Your home, the property tax, school tax. You have so many taxes. That money that she's talking about was already allocated to support these programs by the federal government. They were allocated to the state allocates it to the city then distributes to whatever it needs to do. So, it's not something that she created out of the blue. It's not a law that she created like my risk assessment law. You know, it's a very big difference. You're taking things that are already created, that are already done, and just putting your name on it. You know, that's the same, the green light bill in the senator from the 32nd district. That's a California and Arizona bill. They just take and they put their name on it and they rewrite it and they change the zip codes and that's it. Boom. So it's not something that they're creating. It's something that they're just borrowing from somebody else. So now in the federal government, we already had a budget set aside to address these issues, right? Inflation is a problem. Spending is a problem. Tax is a problem. Food is a problem. Gas is a problem. Child tax credit it's an issue. But these are all credits. But we're going to wind up paying for that. The working family is going to wind up paying for that. The want to tax the rich. Okay, good luck with that. I mean, I'm not even going to touch that at this point. But the money has to come from somewhere, and then the money has to come back one way or the other.
I'm going to jump in, Anthony, and I want to ask John a question. Both your opponents are for defunding the police. We know that the Assemblywoman voted for the no cash bail law, which has created problems. Where do you stand on this? I mean, it seems like, are you for defunding the police? Are you for what these people are doing, your opponents, or are you against it?
I'm certainly against it, but can we agree on something that Natalia Fernandez is an illegitimate candidate?
That was going to be a question too, but we're running out of time because she never collected a signature, I believe.
Right. So to me, she's an illegitimate candidate, and I think that's something that needs to be pointed out. You know, and despite all of these endorsements that she's getting, you know, really to me, she's standing on the laurels of others. You know, she's an extrovert. You know, nice girl, but to run a state or to be part of that, I think that she should stay very, very, very local, and rise above whatever expectation she's been displaying so far. But no, I am not for defunding the police. In fact, I will stand firm on restructuring the bail reform. Even now, they keep modifying it, and yet you had a young man, what was he, 16 years old, who attacked the police officer in the subway. He was out within 24 hours. Come to know that a week prior to that, he was also arrested with a loaded weapon and was released. So, you know, to echo the mayor's words is catch, release, repeat. You know, that is what we're faced with. I am a dad and a concerned dad. And I want to make sure that our streets are safe and the people are safe. And I will stand with police officers. I will stand with law and order. And I will fight for us to be safe no matter what.
Any more comments, Anthony?
Last question. And this one, John, is directly related to comments you made on the show. And I found it very surprising because even though I've lived in that district for over 40 years, technically, now I do not. But I do know that in the 40 years I did live there, I did not believe that the number one problem, according to the debate, was climate change. I found that very shocking. But I guess my question is going to be related to that, even though my own humble opinion is I don't believe that's the number one problem. And if you have a different view than you did the other day, please tell me. But my question to you is this. When you were talking about climate change, you gave a very good, I thought was a very good example. You talked about electrifying buses. Now, you also said another thing that I also found a little concerning. You also said, well, you know, if anybody knows this climate game, I do, because I've been in this climate game for 20 years. Now, I'm a 31-year economist. I know nothing about climate change. I know zippo about climate change. But this much I do know, we've gotten worse as opposed to better in the last 20 years. So if you've been in this game for 20 years, tell us what you've done to make it better. Can it be better? Can it really be workable on the state level, or is this just a national problem?
Well, it certainly is a national problem, and we continue to be eighth in asthma, the highest, 8 times the national average. When I worked with Nos Quedamos, one of the projects that came to us was if we would consider building something that is totally green. And we took care in developing or coming up with the concept of what would green look like in the South Bronx. And we put the first green building in the South Bronx on Brook Avenue, 156th Street. It's totally green. It's self-sustainable. So when we're looking at climate change, the little problem with climate change is that in order for us to start transitioning from fossil fuel, from reducing the carbon footprint by building green homes and all of this other stuff, the cost is greater because it's new. And everything that is new and is in a tryout phases or whatever is going to cost more than, legacy materials. And so that's what we're facing. So up until we start to balance the stuff that we use to create these green buildings and roads and using, instead of using asphalt, which asphalt is another issue that contributes greatly to the environment, and we start using other materials, it's still going to be high. It's still going to be a problem. So we have to shy away from it. The only reason why I did entertain the environmental question and the whole debate started towards environmental, it's because I wanted to point that out, that the way that business is done is that we're going to hype up the need for this so that we can do this. We're not going to let them know that this is what we're doing over here. We're going to push this. The same thing with Rikers Island. I would love to talk to you about Rikers Island because I was involved with that many, many, many years ago. And come to find out that what I said before is coming to fruition now. It wasn't anything. It had nothing to do with closing Rikers because it was deteriorating. It was falling apart. All of this stuff was happening over there. It was so that the government could appropriate it and use it for something else, and which is to connect Queens to the Bronx. Not a lot of people are knowledgeable of that, but they will soon. And I can just sit back and I said, okay, I'll put a check mark next to that one. But I wanted to address the yellow bus system. The yellow bus system that transports our kids to and from, they're all over the place, and they are spewing toxins into the air like no one else's business. And the flip to that, we push. Wait, let me just finish real quickly. We push to create charter schools and schools of choice, and that means that your kid could be living in your neck of the woods and have to come to my neck of the woods. That bus would have to transport that child from there and there because there was a school choice. I like community schools as opposed to public schools. I like community schools because kids have to go to their schools and we don't have to spend that much. I used to go to school on a bike. We don't have to spend that much money on these fueling these buses. We got to go electric.
Bob, if I might for just a moment, and I know it's got to relate to time and my segment, so let me get there right now. I'm going to ask for a very introduction on my segment because we partially covered it today. But the only reason I want to continue for just one more minute is that we got a question from one of our viewers, Mr. Kevin Diola. So I'm actually doing it for him. Kevin Diola's question, and I'll ask you to keep it brief, is what's your opinion on congestion pricing?
Congestion pricing?
That was Kevin Diola's
I'm okay with
question. That is scared to ask you publicly because he's been messaging me for the last hour about it.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Diola and I had a conversation last year, and it didn't go so well. So kudos to that. Hey, good luck. But I think he just messaged me. Congestion pricing. Listen, there's what are we getting for that? I put it up yesterday. If you're gonna do congestion pricing, I want free surface buses. Is that good?
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds good to me. If we're gonna, there has to be a give and take, right? And as a politician, your primary job is to negotiate. So
Ladies
if we're
and
going to
gentlemen, if you
pass,
have any questions, publicly ask them now.
say again.
No, I'm talking to our audience. If you have any questions for our candidate, please feel free to put them in now. Bob, I'll pass it off to you.
All right, well, let's go to, let's thank Mr. Perez for coming on. And let's go to our next segment, a new segment, the Northwest Bronx Democrats. Anthony, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Robert. Ladies and gentlemen, around this time, starting this week and every week, we're going to have a small segment called Northwest Bronx Democrat Says. Yes, it's my own opinion, and it's also the opinion of our group, which of course you can find on Facebook under Northwest Bronx Democrats and our close to 2,000 subscribed membership. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, and we plan on talking about Northwest and East policies and procedures when it comes to our borough, we're going to start off, and you're welcome, Kevin. We're going to start off by talking about what I call the miseducation of Senate candidate, Miss Natalia Fernandez. And I emphasize Senate candidate, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm really not sure what title to give her. I know that at the end of June, she basically won her assembly seat on a vote, right? Congratulations to her. So these pieces of information you see in front of you came out of her Assembly Albany office in July. And I found it to be very surprising that, of course, she did announce even before June that she was running for state senate. So I found this a little bit unusual that many people, both inside and outside of the assembly district, but which evidently live in the Senate district, got all of this information. At first I said to myself, okay, well, she's given a summary. Maybe she's given a summary of everything, that's going on. But then I said to myself, well, wait a minute. I've gotten summaries throughout the session through various assembly people, even people I don't even live in their district. They just want to send it to me. So I said, that looks a little bit confusing. And then the last piece of literature I got, ladies and gentlemen, just blew my mind, because I'm sure our audience knows, I'm a 31-year economist. At the end of the day, when I talk to my clients about their money, politics isn't even in the conversation. But according to Senate candidate Natalia Fernandez, she says in her literature, she's solving inflation. That's what she says. And she says in her literature, especially in the one down the bottom, that green piece, she says, well, this is how I'm going to solve inflation. She says, I'm going to put out $2.2 billion for property tax rebates. She says she was part of a conglomerate that helped to suspend the New York State gasoline tax. She also says she's part of a majority that is going to enhance earned income tax credits and child tax credits. She also says she's leading an Albany group that is going to fight for rebates and discounts on utility bills. And she also says she's part of a conglomerate that is going to support middle class tax cuts, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the Albany session is now closed, so I didn't see that in the bill. But notwithstanding all of that, ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard in an earlier segment, my own opinion, extra spending only causes higher inflation. It does not do anything to lower inflation. Even further than that, how do you stop national inflation, right, ladies and gentlemen? If you heard the Bidenomics segment earlier, right, inflation is now 1% per month, or as I said several weeks ago, looking forward, it is now documented at 12% a year. How do you keep the Morris Park pizza at the same price? How do you keep the Morris Park bodegas at the same level, right? How do you worry about all of these things that people worry about every day? If you want to talk about inflation, just go to your local grocery store. Are these things that I just heard, that I just read, that I presume were paid with my tax money, going to solve that problem when I go to the store tomorrow? when I found out last night that an old chicken spot, anybody that lives in the West Bronx knows about the old chicken spot. That when you go there at night, they used to have, let me emphasize this, used to have the $5 hamburger, french fries, soda. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2022 Bodega. Hamburger, french fries, soda, $9. Bob, back to you.
What? $9? Well,
that is correct.
In this green piece, though, Anthony, okay, we know that to pass a budget, it has to be the members of the assembly vote on it, the members of the Senate vote on it, and then the governor has to sign it. Okay, so going back to this green sheet, I passed a state budget that helps families keep more of their hard-earned money when they need it most. How can one assembly member pass the state budget? That has to be a lie. It's on that green sheet there on the bottom. What she should say is, I helped pass a state budget, not I passed the state budget. Okay.
Well, you know, Bob, but you know, Bob, yes, you're right in the semantics. But as I said to John earlier, I'm more concerned about the policy that she believes more spending. And again, these items are not questionable. We're talking, of course, people need these items at the appropriate time. But I'm more concerned about how someone thinks when they're sitting in that seat. And she is showing that she believes, oh, my hamburgers went up to $9. Well, I'm going to give Anthony a rebate ticket. Okay, but does that lower the price? Short term, maybe. And the reason why I say maybe is because once all the rebates go out, what do you think the producer is going to do? The producer, knowing that everybody's getting rebates, is only going to make it go higher. That means inflation is going to go higher. So I'm very concerned about a Senate candidate who was the assemblywoman having that type of mental thought about money. Because again, we're talking about money. That's her predominant job, right? To tax and spend our money.
But, you know, we saw that Natalia Fernandez was not happy working for Mark Jonai as her chief of staff. She went to Albany to work for for Andrew Cuomo. Then, you know, when there was an opening that Mark Jonai went to the city council and seat was open, Natalia Fernandez was given the seat, as you saw in pictures last time, with the former county leader Marcos Crespo and Jonai holding her arms up, and in the background, which wasn't in the photo, was the borough president and other leaders of the borough. They just gave her the assembly seat. And, you know, 3 years later, well, I'm going to run for borough president. And she got clobbered. Okay. Now she's running for state senate. What's next? Congress likes, you know, will she follow in State Senator Biaggi in after 2 terms, not even 2 terms, I'm going to run for Congress? Because that's what she's doing now. Not even 2 terms, she's running for state senate. Okay. I can't believe that she's a real candidate, and I live in the district, and I'm not going to vote for Natalia Fernandez. And I don't think anybody else should.
You know, Bob, I said to you, and this is probably the only, slight thing I'll give her credit for, is that when that seat first became available, before all the redistricting and all of that, she believed she was running for the old Jeff Klein seat.
All right, well,
we know,
Anthony,
that is not the old Jeff Klein seat.
We're out of time. We'll have to go more through this next week. We'll do it a little more. Hopefully we can have the assemblywoman or one of the other candidates on. But let's wrap it up and say goodbye and thank our audience for watching. And thank you, Kevin, for your comment. And that's about it for today.
In a world where the quality of information available to poorer communities is doctored, tainted, and sometimes regressive, where the words fake news have come to mean other people's opinions, it is vital to rely on news platform with journalists who have feet on the ground and can report the truth. New York Parrot, a New York-based national and global news outlet, is changing the narratives of media operations. We focus on the news that matters, like self-empowerment, entrepreneurship, finances, health, security, politics, and more. We strive to curb violence, racial and economic discrimination, and to promote peace and socio-economic development of multiculturally diverse world. As we give voice to the people, we also give your business a voice and make it heard. Get your products and services off the ground by advertising on our fast-growing platform. With so much of daily visits to New York Parrot, you can't afford to be invisible to prospective clients on the websites they trust the most. Our posts reach millions of people across the New York State and around the world. Advertising on our new site will unlock an audience of thousands of potential customers on your doorstep. New York Parrot is born to prosperously speak tomorrow for the voiceless.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be